everybody, Vince August here. It is Tuesday, February 15th, 2022. I am going to record this, post it on all my social media formats. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, share, tell all your friends about it. I try to drive as much of traffic possible towards YouTube because, again, I want to get the subscribers there. So subscribe if you can subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe because once I break 1,000 subscribers and I have over, I think it's 4,000 hours, then I can start to monetize this thing and turn it into something bigger. I'm noticing a green hue around me. I don't know why that is. I have all the lights, everything up. Yeah, we're still working on the green screen. Still working on the technology. This is going to get better as I go and I upgrade all my stuff. But again, like, subscribe, everything else. Really good tips coming in from everybody, whether it's comments about what I'm talking about. Had a really good exchange on my Facebook page with Leon Kirstein about the Russia-Ukraine crisis. Thank you for that, Leon. A big supporter, big fan. Someone sent me a message saying, Vin, love the stuff. Dude, slow down. You talk really, really fast. And it's like hard to keep up with you. So rewatch what I did. Yes, you're right. I do need to slow down. I'm going to make a conscious effort to slow down. Look how much slower I am right now. So we'll do that as well. Yesterday, Valentine's Day, February 14th. Not sure how big people are into Valentine's Day. Of course, there's, the people that are like, it's commercial, it's this, it's that. And then those people are called anti-romantic. Look, here's my take on Valentine's Day. You don't buy flowers and chocolate on Valentine's Day. You're getting price gouged. And it's not even because of the inflation we're going through right now. It's always been that way. Most people that are in long relationships, I find, their significant others tell them, whatever you do, please don't spend money on flowers. Don't go spending money on chocolate. Don't go spending money on this stuff. It's way too expensive. By the end of the week, everything costs half as much. Save your money. Wait until after the fact. Some people are just like, Valentine's Day is like, what St. Patrick's Day is to drinkers. It's amateur night. This is for new couples that, don't know. And then there's the other take, which is if you need Valentine's Day to remind you to be romantic with the person that you're in love with, well, then you got a problem in your relationship. Again, much like St. Patrick's Day. If you need St. Patrick's Day to remind you to drink, well, then you're not a good drinker. You don't know how to drink because most people, the excuse to drink is the day ends in a Y. So, yeah, there's my excuse to drink. Put up a meme today. I've always seen people that like put the rose petals on the ground. I have to tell you, I'm a neat freak. I'm a clean freak. If I ever had someone do that for me where they like put a heart on the ground and the rose petals all over the place, I would look at them and be like, I hope you're going to put on a French maid costume and clean this shit up because I have neatness OCD and this is killing me right now. We're not going to be able to do anything until I get a vacuum and clean all of this up. So that's my take on Valentine's Day. Hopefully you enjoyed yours. Okay. First thing, Super Bowl wrap up. Not sure if you saw my picks. One of the big ones. Again, I did the coin toss just for fun. I said Rams are going to win the game by 3 points. Rams won the game by 3 points. I said take the Bengals into 4.5. So good there. I really thought it would be a high-scoring game. I thought they were going to go over the 48.5. They scored 43. I can make excuses. Odell Beckham was out and this and that. Otherwise, it would have gone over. No, I lost that bet. So hit 2 out of the 3 the big ones on that. So I kind of like what I did there. But the moral of the story is you hit 2 out of 3, save your money. Don't gamble on this stuff because that's what happens normally. You hit half of them, you lose half of them, and then the bookie or Vegas makes the money on the vig. So yeah, but it was fun. A lot of people loved the game, thought the game was super exciting. I got to tell you, I got bored after like the third quarter when there was that quick flurry of points. There was some great defensive plays, but I didn't think there were like those oh my god moments in that game that you look back on, and then really 2 penalties were huge in that game with regards to pass interference, the one that wasn't called and the one that was. So, good game, close game. That it was this super exciting game, no. Happy for Matthew Stafford, happy for Cooper Kupp because he won my fantasy football league. But overall, thought the game was good. I didn't think it was great. The big thing about the game that everyone seems to be talking about is the halftime show. Okay, let me start off by saying this. Look, if you're not a fan of the genre of music or the artists that are going to be performing during a halftime show, you're not going to like the halftime show. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what the mystery is here. If you don't like who's going to be there, odds are you're not going to like the show. So, for example, when I went to the Super Bowl in person, Steelers Cardinals, the halftime show was Bruce Springsteen. I'm from Jersey. Everybody's thinking, wow, you get to see the Steelers in the Super Bowl, your favorite team growing up as a kid, and Bruce Springsteen. You hit the Super Bowl lottery. I went, not so fast. Not a Bruce Springsteen fan, and has nothing to do with his politics. I don't know him as a person. This is not a commentary on his person, his politics, or anything like that. I don't like Bruce Springsteen music. I have never been a fan of Springsteen. I don't get what the people are into. I know people that go to his concerts and are like, dude, he plays for 4 hours. I'm like, what? I would have to sit through that for 4 hours? No, not a Springsteen fan. I'm not a Bon Jovi fan either. So, yeah, when it comes to Jersey and that music, not a fan. So when they were getting ready for the halftime, I went to the locker room. I walked around the stadium. I kind of took in the energy of the stadium. I really didn't watch the halftime show because I knew I wasn't going to enjoy it. I'm not a Bruce fan. So if you're not into rap, if you're not into hip hop from the 90s and the early 2000s, you weren't going to enjoy it. Okay. Now, as someone who's in the entertainment industry, who watched the halftime show, who, look, that was part of, I was born in 69. I grew up with this music in my 90s. That was, when I was in my 30s, it was a part of what I was listening to. I thought it was a really good halftime show. I didn't have a problem with it. For the people that had this really visceral reaction to it, look, if you don't like the music, just say, I'm not a fan of hip hop, whatever. But to say that it sucked, to say that it was terrible, I have to be honest, there was a little, just, there was a part of me that was just like being a little bit racist. I don't know, right now, maybe being a little bit racist about this. Anyway, yeah, it wasn't terrible. Stop with, I saw somebody put up on a 1 to 10, what would you score at a halftime show? People are like 0. Come on, man. It wasn't a 0. Now, another thing about the halftime show that people talked about was what was being sung. And, so apparently Snoop Dogg, the lyrics, anti-cop, Eminem took a knee, and people just like, dude, I don't need to see that crap during the Super Bowl, this and that. You do what I do. Again, when there's something on that I don't want to watch, get up, go to the bathroom, turn it off, flip the channel, go to something else. See, here's the thing. Let me put it to you this way. And this goes out to my conservative friends who had such a problem with the halftime show. The halftime show in a Super Bowl is probably the least intrusive thing in your life, because you literally can control whether or not you watch or listen to it. You could just, and that's it, you're done. Okay. The same people that seem to, well, there's a lot of people that I know. I'm not going to say that this is a general. I'm not going to paint with a broad brush like this. There's a lot of people I know. There's a lot of people I saw on social media that love what these truckers are doing in Canada, and also seem to hate the halftime show, what Eminem did and Snoop Dogg or whatever. And I said to somebody, well, what's more disruptive to your life? What the truckers are doing in Canada, or what Snoop Dogg and Eminem are doing? Forget about their causes. Forget about why they're doing it. Protests are supposed to make you uncomfortable. Protests are supposed to have some type of consequence so that they get the proper attention that they're trying to get to resolve their issue. The protesters in Canada are actually disrupting a supply chain that's going from Canada to the U.S. with regards to car manufacturing in Michigan, which is why Gretchen Whitmer got on the phone with Joe Biden and was like, hey, Prez, take care of this. Okay, so that's been more disruptive to anybody's life than what Eminem and Snoop Dogg did. There was no disruption in your life based on what they did during a halftime show. You could have just shut it off. Okay, so my point is always, I don't have a problem with what Snoop Dogg did. I don't have a problem with Eminem did. Don't tell me the NFL had no idea what they were going to do. They did it. And you know what? I don't have a problem with what these truckers are doing in Canada. Again, you have to have a right to protest. And protest should be somewhat disruptive to society in order to be effective. Because if you tell somebody, hey, listen, we're going to go let you protest in this closed parking lot when no one's going to be there, and yeah, go ahead, knock yourself out. But that's a useless protest. So they shouldn't be illegal. They shouldn't break the law. You shouldn't be burning down buildings and everything else. Okay. So as long as they're within the parameters of the law, I don't have a problem with any of it. So again, if you have a problem with the halftime show, but don't have a problem with the truckers, you have to ask yourself, is it the protest, the sign of protest, or is it the cause and what these people are putting out there that's really bugging you? So, okay. The green hue thing, I'm just catching it now because I'm looking at the screen. Hopefully it's not too disruptive to you guys. Sorry if it is. I'm still working on this stuff. Okay. So let's see. I'm just looking at my notes. Taste. Bruce at halftime talked about Eminem. Here's the other thing. Okay. So the same people, let me rephrase. So there's a group of people that I saw on Facebook that were so anti-halftime show. It's thug. It promotes a thug mentality. It promotes, kind of this weird kind of street gang mentality. A lot of those people at the same time, I saw in their thread, oh my God, did you see that Sopranos commercial? Yo, that was amazing. They show, yo, New Jersey Mafia, baby. Yeah. Really? So you're good with the commercial that seems to portray New Jersey Italians as gangsters, but you have a problem with the halftime show because it portrays West Coast rappers in a gangster. Do you see why anyway, look at your hypocrisy, man. Look at your hypocrisy before you start putting this shit on Facebook that somebody like me is going to read and be like, what am I reading here? You're saying one thing is thug and the other thing is literally promoting the mafia in a fictional way. And one is okay and one isn't. And then the Eminem protest and the Snoop, that's wrong, but the truckers are, everybody, no. Look, it's either all fair game or none of it's fair game. This notion that you pick and choose what's appropriate and what's not really defeats all of your purpose. So just wanted to get that out of the way. So I did that. The other thing I saw, looking at my notes, 50 Cent is getting hammered for being, people like 50 Cent looks like $1.30 because he looks heavy or whatever. Look, man, if you remember 50 Cent when he came out and you were part of that genre, I guarantee you gained as much weight or more than what 50 Cent did during that lifetime. Okay, so we're going to fat shame 50 Cent? I mean, it was like, come on, man. He's 50. Trust me, I know what it's like. Look, I've fought to get back down to my college weight. It's not easy being in shape, okay? I didn't think he looked that bad, but people were dogging 50 Cent because some of it was kind of funny, but whatever. So, yeah, people were all over 50. Then somebody saw him hanging upside down like he did in the rap video way back when, and somebody said, what is that? Somebody breaking into a house? I was like, wow, that was something. Anyway, so that takes care of halftime show, 50, the Sopranos thing, talked about Eminem. Okay. The other story that is breaking right now, there's still a lot of tension, Russia, Ukraine. Again, I've talked about this once. I've talked about it multiple times. I'm a little bit skeptic about the way our country is reacting to it based upon what I've seen in international news. And by the way, if you've ever seen CNN International, completely different than the CNN that we watch here on what we have in America. Completely different type of reporting. The interesting thing here is it seems that the United States rhetoric about what Russia's doing is at like a 10, and Ukraine's rhetoric is at like an 8. And in fact, President Zelensky has said, look, man, America is talking about this in language that we're not really using. This is them saying it. It's almost as if there's a little guy and a big guy, and they're kind of having words, and the big guy might be looking like he's going to start something, and America's standing behind the little guy going, yo, we got your back. We got your back. But he just called you a bitch. I don't know about you, but, you know, you need, look, I tell you what, here, I'm going to give you a set of brass knuckles because he just called you a bitch and you should do something about it. It's kind of like that little thing. And again, look, Russia, we know what Russia's doing. We know that they have imperialistic thoughts. My opinion is if Vladimir Putin can leave his mark on Russia, what he would love to do is reunify Russia back into the old Soviet Union. So trust me when I tell you, I think that Vladimir Putin does have bad intentions with regards to this. That he's looking to start a war in Europe, I don't know. I don't think so. I hope not. I think Macron in France went over there. I think there was some headway made. My gut tells me he doesn't want to do it because a war in that situation for him, I'm not sure what it gets him. Look, Ukraine can also call his bluff and be like, oh, the big thing is you don't want us to join NATO? Okay, we won't join NATO. Now what? And then what? Then he's kind of stuck. Because if Putin invades, it's like, well, then what'd you invade for? Your whole thing was based on NATO. Now they're not going to join NATO. You're kind of stuck. So, again, that's my position on it. I hope I've clarified it. Again, I had some good back and forth with one of my viewers here. So I just wanted to make that clarification based on the notes I have. Another story that is out there. Apparently, there's this Durham probe, and there's a complaint, and there's some findings in this report that show that maybe Hillary Clinton was involved in, let me simplify this. So the investigation into Trump by Mueller is basically being investigated. And what that investigation is showing is that it appears that there's a complaint or findings that Hillary Clinton was behind the cyber attacks on Trump and the spying on Trump that she was blaming on Russia. And this whole thing is kind of unraveling. Now, I don't know what's true. I don't know what isn't true. These are allegations that nothing has been proved. But here's the interesting thing that I'm finding. And I find this on the fringes on both sides. Okay. And again, I'm an independent. I'm a libertarian. I'm going to get into this whole marriage to a political party in a second. But here's what I'm finding. For some people, there will never be enough information to think Hillary Clinton did something wrong. Never. Period. End. And for other people, you know what? They're going to have an open mind. Specifically, a poll showed something that 2/3 of Democrats want this investigated and they want to find out the truth. There's a third of Democrats that just like don't care. And we see that with both parties. I think there's about a third fringe in each party that you're never going to convince them. And they don't want to hear anything bad about their side. And here's the thing that's really what this is all about when it comes to these sides. Okay. What you have is it's like being in a marriage and you want to believe that the person you're with is everything that you wanted to marry and you wanted to be with, and they would never cheat on you. And no matter what proof somebody gives you that they're cheating on you, you're not going to believe it. So I'm watching this great series I just started on HBO. It's in its second season, The Righteous Gemstones. If you haven't watched it, I recommend it. Danny McBride is in it. I'm 99% sure he's one of the writers. And it's about kind of like, the South Carolina family that does this church stuff, kind of like mocking Joel Osteen and some of these, how they make tremendous money running these churches. And meanwhile, their lives are just a shambles. And one of the characters, I don't want to give away the story in case you watch it, is accused of cheating in the marriage. And they have all of their story tied together to deny it. And there's proof out there. There's actual video proof. And they deny it. And the wife is just like, look, I believe my husband. And the other wife is like, you got your head up your ass. I'm telling you, they did this. And the one wife's like, no, I don't believe. Did it happen? No, of course it didn't happen. No. Let me explain what that is. I really feel that there are some people right and left. You're so married to your political party. You're so married to your side that you don't want to believe that they do anything wrong. You refuse to believe. And like a spouse in a bad relationship who's married to someone that's a cheater or something, you don't, it's almost like an abusive, and it's like a circle of domestic violence. Okay. You deny it, you just refuse to see it, and there it is. And we've seen this. Look, Marianne Williamson was on Bill Maher this past weekend, and she said, here's the difference between Republicans and Democrats. And I'm going to give her credit for the statement because she's the one who said it. The Republicans just tell you right to your face, this is what we are. And, they're for the rich. They're for corporate donors. They're for corporate sponsors. They don't hide it. The Democrats lie to you and say, we're for you. We're for the little guy. In the meantime, they're not. They're for exactly the same thing, just a different group of rich people. And I think that was pretty much the best way to sum it up. If you honestly believe that these people in our government, with the way our government has lied to us continually over and over, really care about you, the little person, all you need to do is look at what happened with all the pandemic money. Okay. And there was a report, and I should probably put it in my threads. I'll put a copy of the report. Something like 80% of the pandemic money went to the top 20% financially of the country. I've said this in podcasts that I did last year. It was the biggest upward transfer of wealth this country. This pandemic made rich people richer. If you don't believe me, look it up. All of the information is there. Okay. Billionaires became even bigger billionaires. We're looking at our first trillionaire pretty soon. Millionaires made more money. Poor people got poorer. All this pandemic did was divide economically this country in a massive, massive way. Okay. And look, it happened when Trump was in office. It's continuing now. We actually are having a debate in our House whether or not Congress people can actually profit from sales and purchases of stocks on Wall Street when they are putting forth the policies and giving out the contracts to these companies. I mean, this is the corruption inherent in the system. Okay. So again, being married to your side, right or left, you're in an abusive relationship. And because you refuse to ever see the wrong that your side does. And that's dangerous. I'm sorry, that's dangerous. Okay, what else we have going on? Okay, let's end this thing on something fun and light, whatever. So, saw a report this morning, romantic comedies are making a comeback. And one of the romantic comedies making a comeback, Jennifer Lopez and Owen Wilson are going to be in a romantic comedy. And are they going to find love? I don't know. You think somebody like Jennifer, what's it? Not Jennifer Lawrence. I'm sorry, Jennifer Lopez. You think so? I think I said Jennifer Lopez. You think somebody like Jennifer Lopez can find love? You think somebody who looks like that is in that kind of shape and that kind? You think she's going to be able to find love? Well, she can't find it in real life. Apparently, she keeps going back and running around, bending back and back, and A-Rod bend back. But you think she's going to find love in this story? You think Owen Wilson is going to find love? I can't be more sick of romantic comedies involving the same people. Look, Adam Sandler has done it with Drew Barrymore. We're going to run Owen Wilson into the ground with the. Is there anybody else in Hollywood that can star in a romantic comedy? And this is my message to Hollywood. Look, we have the Oscars coming up, and they gave Nicole Kidman an Oscar nomination for Lucille Ball, which came out 5 minutes ago. You got an Oscar nomination for that. Look, I understand this is award shows for people in Hollywood and who gives a crap. But at the same time, Hollywood, this is why people are tuning you out. And this is why they gravitate to stuff like the Squid Game. This is why they gravitate towards stuff like Money Heist. This is why the biggest blockbuster movie was Spider-Man, because you know what? At least I know what it is. It's Spider-Man. Shit's going to blow up, everything else. But when you keep slamming the same people down our throat over and over in all of these movies, we're like, oh, man, come on. There was another movie that they were talking about that got nominated that nobody, West Side Story, nobody saw it. Nobody saw it. Nominated for God knows how much, nobody saw it. So the Oscars has become even more of this kind of elitist thing amongst themselves. No one gives a shit. I'm interested to see what happens with the ratings because we did have a lot of people home Most of this stuff was streamed, so a lot of people had the opportunity to watch these movies. I'm really interested in seeing what the ratings are going to be for the Oscars this year, because all of these movies were available. A lot of people saw them. Are people invested in the outcome of Hollywood elite getting trophies and awards? Are they going to be like, dude, we didn't care when the movie came out, we ain't going to care now? So that'll be a fun thing to watch. Let's see. Last week's my appearance on New Jersey 1015 had to get postponed to this week. So I will be on Thursday night, February 17th with Steve Trevelise. It's going to stream on 1015 FM New Jersey. So if you can't listen to it, you're not in the area, you can't get it streamed, you can go back, download it, listen to it, whatever. I think we're going to talk about some First Amendment free speech stuff. Covered a bunch of topics. Again, send me your topics, send me your notes. If you don't want to get caught up on an email thread where someone starts attacking you and you want to send me a private message, you can do that too. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about. So most of the people that are sending me private messages, the one thing that they always say when I say, why didn't you comment on the thread? Here's the thing. People say 10 out of 10 times, dude, I don't want to post something on your thread and have some complete stranger just attack me and start calling me names. This is what we mean by discourse, people. I mean, you have to realize this is why, and people like, oh, Vin, you delete people that disagree with you. No, I delete assholes. So if you leave an asshole comment, I'm going to treat you like an asshole and delete you. If you leave a comment like Leon Kirsching did, if you send me a private message and disagree with me and have something constructive to say, I have more than no problem addressing it here when I tape or directly with you at the comments. I try not to run from any comments. I try to respond to everybody. I try not to hide from any criticism. I try to respond to as long as it's constructive, it's well-based. If you're just going to say, dude, you're not funny, I thought this was supposed to be funny. It's not always going to be funny. Sometimes it's going to be informative. Sometimes I'm going to have some critique. Sometimes it's just going to be nothing but jokes. So you don't like me, you're here to watch and troll, get a life, man. There's a lot of other stuff on the internet you could be watching besides me. If you do want to have an exchange, I understand when you want to send me a private message because you don't want people jumping on you, pouncing on you. And if you're one of those people that jumps on and pounces on people, you know, that's a really shitty thing to be. And now that, you know, that just reminded me of something else. So, you know what, I'm going to bring up a story. And this is something that's actually really important to me because I work with, in my law life, I do hearings with regards to psychiatric commitments in the state of New Jersey. So this was New York City. I want to get her name right. I want to make sure I do this right. This was Miss USA, Chesley Christ. Okay. This beautiful, you're not going to be able to see it. There she is. This absolutely beautiful person committed suicide. She killed herself a couple of weeks ago in New York City. She was about to turn 30. Everything on her profile talked about how, you know, turning 30 was going to be a challenge for her, and she felt herself getting older. And there was, you know, she was dealing with a lot of hate and people on social media. And, you know, apparently she took her life because of the negative comments, because of the trolling. Now, some people might say, hey, Vin, look, when you put yourself in the spotlight and you're out there and you're a Miss America, you're going to deal with that kind of stuff. If you're a politician, this is part of the thing. And my thing is, no. No one should ever have to deal with people just being fucking mean. Okay, again, you want to give me some type of constructive criticism, fine, whatever. But to just call me names, baldy, fatso, not funny, whatever, that's, you're just looking to be a bad person and do that. You know, this stuff has consequences. And this is the consequence that it results in. You know, people kill themselves. So before you think about doing something really bad to somebody on the internet, realize there's a real human being on the other side and ask yourself, would you have the courage in your conviction to say this in public to that person's face? Because what I would tell anybody on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, do you have the courage to say this directly to that person's face in front of a crowd? Or are you just home in front of your computer, nice and safe, where no one can find you, and that's where you're doing it? So that's my test that I tell people. Maybe you guys could use it. Maybe you don't need to hear it. Whatever. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Notice I slowed it down. It is a little bit long. The other thing I promised I have to do, I'm going to start chopping these up, putting them into segments. I'm going to do my best to get to that. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Again, you have to subscribe, like, share, let everyone know so I can make this grow. I'm going to work on the green screen so there's not like some weird Jedi thing behind me. But hey, thanks for listening. Everybody have a great night. Thank you, and check back in.